Greetings everyone, and welcome to LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at all retired LEGO themes. Today let's voyage 30 years back through time to 1989's LEGO Pirates. This was a huge genre shift for LEGO, one of their first major excursions outside the comfort zone they built for themselves just over a decade before with the advent of the modern minifig. So far, it mostly just been the big three: town, space, and castle. And Technic. Pirates was the new kid in town, the next big thing that took the community by storm, becoming one of LEGO's most popular lines for a while. We might take ships like these for granted these days, but they were a pretty out there concept for the time. All those giant sails and riggings, LEGO hadn't done anything like this before. This was also the first theme to include guns. Up until that point, they had a strict policy not glorifying violence or war with their toys, and it kinda puts today's toys in perspective. Flick fire missiles, disc shooters, stud shooters, lasers, balls. These weren't terribly realistic looking, just fairly cartoonish flintlock muskets and pistols. We'd see much more realistic guns in Western, which I was gonna mention there but decided to save for this episode. But these were some of the most detailed faces of the time. I wouldn't quite put them on the level of Ice Planet or other lines that come along just a few years later, since these characters still shared that permanent smile at all times. But this was a Trailblazer theme in quite a few ways. Admittedly, many of the early sets weren't anything to write home about, pretty simple stuff, but when they go big, they go bigger. Comparing them to modern sets that have so many pieces to pick from, they had to make compromises everywhere with their much smaller catalog of parts, like these space hoses. The most glaring bits are these simulated islands made of yellow plates, cause tan probably wasn't a color LEGO made yet. I do like the combination of white and yellow on these forts, the eroded paint revealing bricks underneath, like normal bricks, not LEGO ones. It's got a thick atmosphere. The light source in the photo is usually to the side instead of above, so it feels like the sun is setting just out of frame, and paired up with those beautifully painted clouds. This might be an odd thing to compliment, but it's some of my favorite lighting in anything I've rewound to date. This is beautiful, there's no way around it. There's a trove of easy to miss details that show how crafty they could be, like those flat flags as sails, but one of them is a wavy flag to look more tattered or simulate wind. This mermaid figurehead stands out the most to me. They needed so many pieces just to create a pretty simple shape, but look how easy it is now. These docks wrapping around the very edges of those blue base plates giving small ships room to pass through, that's great. It might all look pretty simple on the surface, but there's a surprising amount of lore supported by comics, other books, and radio dramas. The pirates themselves didn't change much as their ranks expanded, but the Imperials jumped around a lot. We've got French bluecoats, British redcoats, the Spanish Armada. I am not a history major, so correct me if I'm off, but it seems like we're going backwards with these factions. The pirates were led by Captain Redbeard, a kind of doofy, more lovable version of Blackbeard who appeared in a ton of LEGO media, becoming one of the more prolific LEGO icons, as we'll see. Here's his car. Technically, the pirates are the antagonists and the Imperials are the good guys. But let's be real, most kids are gonna want to be the pirates because it's more fun. But things got a titch weird when they introduced the Islanders, based on natives from the Pacific Islands. A supposedly neutral party for the most part. It seems like they were thrown in just to give the other two factions someone else to fight. Oh lord. Look, all I'm gonna say is anytime a group like this appears in such products, especially from that era, you'll see them from the creator's biased perspective, through the filter of colonialism and all that, stereotyping such people as savages that basically deserve to be plundered and conquered because their ways are so strange. I quite like the natives' portrayal in Western, for reasons I expressed in that episode, but the Islanders came out just a couple of years before, and these are embarrassing. But I've said my piece. I do quite like the builds from these years. We do get to see a lot more land. I like when they use simple elements to build up the terrain, make it all lumpy, add some depth to it. This set includes a shipwreck that's just a skeleton, really. There's a lot more character to these later builds. As lines like Western rolled around, Pirates was put to bed in 1997, much to the dismay of fans who'd grown accustomed to there always being more pirates around the corner. I feel ya. Still, that's pretty good for a first run, and it would resurface in time. In 2001, LEGO tried to tide people over by re-releasing a few older sets, even going all the way back to the beginning. You may remember them doing the same thing with a couple of Western sets. A lot of parallels here. I do wish they'd do that with other themes. Just give a few things that were fairly popular a second chance to be picked up by people who missed out the first time around, a few years after the fact. 2004 saw some juniorized pirates in the vein of Jack Stone, and these are garbage. But are they really that much worse than the mainline was at times? Wait a minute, I think the skull might all be one piece, save the teeth. Okay, yeah, they're worse. It's easy to say, come on, these are for 4-year-olds, but just look at what today's 4-year-olds are getting. This is pretty standard Lego, though I admit that ship looks like a lot of fun, and assuming it floats, hey, fewer pieces to lose in the bathtub. These pirates are just funny. From scurvy dogs, lovingly rendered beer guts, to hairy hardtack looking like a Wallace and Gromit character. And hey, look who it is, it's Redbeard. No, seriously, it's the same guy, just in a different style. That's not even the last time we'll see him. And oh my word, those hands are freaky. Just cut him off and give him 2 hooks already. The hat's fantastic though. 2009 brought us our first major pirate revival, and yeah, it's almost like the theme never left. Even brought back those old school giant palm trees that were a staple of the line's heyday. The builds are pretty solid most of the time. It's about as standard as it always was, and hey, look who it is, it's Redbeard again. Looking much more gruff than before, almost too much. I think this is my favorite set of the wave. More repurposed shipwrecks, please. I could probably make an entire short video just going through some of my favorite Lego names if I really wanted to, but this one takes the cake. Kraken attacking. Okay, sure, that's every bit the Kraken this is. You know, I have to wonder how many pirates back in their day saw a normal, beautiful octopus and promptly soiled themselves thinking it was a Kraken. You know what happened. After that, LEGO would juggle these pirates with other lines like Pirates of the Caribbean and Metal Beard's lion's share of the LEGO movies. The Caribbean sets were a mix of all those films, recreating iconic scenes like the duel at the end of the first. I like that they put some studs on the inside of the wheel so you could put Jack in there to recreate the scene from Dead Man's Chest. And I could say similar things about all of these cause, well, that's all these sets are really about, right? Reenacting moments from the movies, which they're very nice sets. This one's especially a stunner. But this is why I just don't have as much to say about licensed themes as original LEGO themes, and I don't cover them often. At some point you're just talking about the movies they're based on and not the builds themselves, which are fairly rote. Great minifigs though. I think the ghost pirates from the 5th movie translate especially well, and might somehow be scarier as minifigs. Davy Jones had a pretty sweet tentacle beard mold, but I think you could also make this one from hidden sidework if you want to create your own Davy Jones figure. The LEGO movie is a hodgepodge of different LEGO tropes, and they just went ham with the pirate outings. I think Metal Beard's design is great, just a jumbled mass of rubbish, yet somehow weirdly cohesive. That goes double for his ship. I love stupid designs like this. It's a pizza with everything on it. I even love his stupid trike that drives himself. Curiously, my favorite part of the ship might be the most restrained. These sails are made of modern Technic panels, and I think that's just genius. I know they're never gonna be as realistic as actual sails, which are just kind of a thing these sets have always done, but in my opinion, if you can accomplish something with standard LEGO pieces, you should. Hey, it's Redbeard again. You'd think in the middle of all the other pirates LEGO was unloading, they wouldn't find room for the plain old ones again, but they did release a few in 2015, which have some odd quirks of their own. They scrapped the old palm trees entirely and could just make new ones out of, again, fairly standard LEGO elements. The builds are slightly downsized, a more condensed version of set pieces we'd seen before, and I understand some people were disappointed by it, but I think it's as good as any of the other ways. Now that's a proper brick-built skull. They sure do like slapping those modern, futuristic stud shooters on the boats for some reason. All things considered, Hey, wait. Is that? It's Redbeard! Holy bullied and Blenny, you just can't keep this man down for long. I think this is the best looking version of him yet. I was very surprised to see him still showing up this late in the game. We rarely see a complete revival like this. Usually it's just a descendant or distant relative of a classic character like Josh Thunder to Johnny Thunder, if even that. And with LEGO trying to push Metal Beard as this generation's Redbeard equivalent, I'm glad there was room for this guy to still be kicking. He's a class act. Still, that was a few years ago, and we'll just have to wait and see if we ever get more pirates like these. We might not, but that's hard for me to imagine. There are always going to be kids who want more pirates, and unless they plan on giving Metal Beard an entire line of his own or there's a 6th or 7th Pirates of the Caribbean movie, they're gonna have to reach into this well again. We'll see. As many waves of pirates as I've covered today, there are still many others I did not. I mean, if I did, we'd be here all day. And I'd say that's a testament to how present they are, and probably always will be. And we'll get another chance to talk about some pirates before you know it. And that's it for today. If you want to support my work, please consider my graphic novel series Planet Ripple. You can buy the books on Amazon or read an early draft of the first book for free. And for the Bionicle fans in my audience, there's the Toa, my ultimate love letter to the original series. Links to everything in the description. Next up, we're going for a spin.
It was a time of terror on the high seas. As pirate raiders ruled the waves, there was only one hope, the Lego Maniac.
Yo! Ho-ho! Mount an attack of Moby Dick proportions. The royal gold must be saved. Fear not, walking plank dude. Escape, captive prisoner. Piratude has been defeated.
As calm returns, the Lego Maniac alone knows the final destination of the gold.
Heavy.
The Lego System Pirate Collection. These sets make collection shown. Each set sold separately.